Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network. For the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews, press 1.
Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. In a world where action movies are constantly exploding at the box office, our heroes take on the monumental task of dissecting and analyzing all aspects of action movies to truly understand what it takes to make a great action film. Ben Bateman, Andrew Ghai, in a Popcorn Talk Network exclusive. This is Action Movie Anatomy.
Boom! What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show! Welcome to Action Movie Anatomy. Here we are on this lovely Wednesday afternoon for yet another episode of your favorite show, Action Movie Anatomy, on the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network dedicated to talking movies and all things movie-related. I'm your host, Ben Bateman, joined today. Look at that tie clip.
Look at that tie clip.
Look at that tie clip by Mr. Andrew Ghai!
Tie clip in pocket squares. I'm here. What's up, everybody? So excited to be here. I'm like embarrassed at how much I loved this movie. Like, I loved this movie. When we were walking out of the theater, I was like, dude, it was fucking awesome. You're like, yeah, no, it was pretty good. I was like, no, I loved it. Can't wait to talk about it, guys. Happy to be here.
Yeah, this is London Has Fallen. This is the sequel to 2012's Olympus Has Fallen, a sequel that the world demanded. The world wanted to see this movie made. Of course, we have in the room the executive producer of the Popcorn Talk Network, Mr. Stephen Lemieux.
Hey guys.
He's just hanging out.
Chilling.
He just wanted to be up close and personal for this one.
He just likes the show.
Oh, you're periscoping live right now?
Yeah, with you guys.
Beautiful.
So
Amazing.
join us. Watch the Masters at work.
This
is the most views I've gotten on Periscope right here.
Ever in the world. So guys, this is Action Movie Anatomy. On the show, we talk about action movies, and those action movies generally adhere to 4 basic rules after being made after 1981, which is not even really a rule. It's just kind of like a general barometer.
Just happens with these movies.
Yeah, we might do like a Dirty Harry movie at some point or something, but I mean, pretty much we stick with after 81. But rule number 1 is the hero always plays by their own rules. Rule number 2, the hero and the villain are always the smartest people, beings, things, dinosaurs, mutants, whatever, in the room. Rule number 3, the movie is always driven by a police, military, political, or mercenary figure. So when we say political, it means they could either be the man or work for the man. So maybe they are a
MTA officer in the movie taking a pill in 1, 2, 3. Who knows?
maybe just that, or that's the only one ever. I changed the rules for that movie.
Specifically for that one movie.
And lastly, of course, there's at least one explosion, CGI or real. And I don't know that there are any real explosions in this movie.
There's not real anything in this. It's everything's CG.
It's just CG. There are real explosions in this movie, though.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
We'll show
practical.
some B-roll later, and it appears to be that way. So
It's not quite the Mad Max level of practical explosions, but
No.
it's good.
It's not
real good.
Not quite the 6 Oscars level. So anyway, guys, we are on Twitter. We are on YouTube, as you're watching probably right now, or maybe listening. Find us, comment, rate, subscribe. It helps us stay high in the standings and continue to do the show for you guys. If you follow us on Twitter, we're at AMA Podcast, and I personally am at Ben Bateman Media.
And I am at Andrew Ghai.
And that is where we start. We will take you right now into the trailer.
London has fallen.
You're moving one side of your mouth more than he does.
Yeah, right.
You can't move both sides.
Gotta have the stroke.
Yeah. Intense.
In 2013.
Every character in this movie, other than Gerard Butler and Eckhart, is completely irrelevant to the movie.
Completely.
They didn't need to bring anyone back. It's just a bunch of shots of people in suits sitting in a room looking at a screen.
Yeah.
Just being like, oh no, London.
Except for Angela Bassett.
She's
the only one.
She was good. My favorite is that Robert Forster is just in it for, he's billed like as the 6th lead.
Yeah.
He has like one line, doesn't he? He says like one thing.
What about Jackie Earle Haley?
He has also like one
Why?
line.
Why are you in this movie?
I have a feeling that they cut a lot from this movie, is what I think.
Oh, yeah. Because it even felt super. That's it. That's
Yeah.
a bad trailer.
That was the first one.
Yeah.
So there was a longer second trailer. That was a little more by the numbers.
The actual attack was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Like
I enjoyed
that's
the
one
attack.
thing I liked about Olympus, and one thing I liked about this movie as well, is that you know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And like this is the most. What do they say? This is the most heavily protected event in history.
Yeah,
like
something
ever.
like that.
And you're just like, all right, well, how?
It's impenetrable.
How are they going to take London?
Yeah.
And it's sweet. Oh yeah, there's spoilers in this.
How are they going to take London? By infiltrating every single police officer in all of London without anybody noticing or asking any questions.
Complete London infrastructure.
Interesting. None of the police officers in London are white anymore.
Nope.
They all look Middle Eastern. How did that happen?
Do they ever say where they're from? They say where they're hiding, but I don't think they ever say where the Barkawis are from.
No, it's like pretty blatantly just like racist.
It's just racist.
Just
yeah.
really general. Like,
it was like, because 3 years ago, it was like, the Koreans. All right, there we go. North Korea.
North Korea or South Korea. And he's like, we are the unified nation of Korea. Or something like that.
That's the same guy that had diamonds in his face, I'm pretty sure, in the old Bond movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Very good actress.
So that is the movie that we are covering today. And as you can tell, we were very excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
That's a good one. So I think we should probably start out with our bit we do called Action Movie Tagline.
I like mine this week.
Yeah, I'm really happy with mine.
I'm back.
You're going to laugh.
Am I?
I'm guaranteeing you're going to laugh at mine.
Okay.
I'm guaranteeing it. I'm calling the shot right now. This is the thing we do called Action Movie Tagline, guys. What this is when Andrew and I were kids, we would go to the video store and we would like search the racks and we would see all these sweet VHS tapes and they would have these little quotes on them, you know, a slam bang action thriller or a non-stop adrenaline thrill ride or something like that.
Harrison Ford turns into tour de force.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes on the back of the box they'd be a little longer, but when we were kids, like, you know, there wasn't the internet, so we didn't just get to see everything online. IMDb didn't even exist yet. Yeah. Most of our knowledge of movies came from these colorful boxes that were like often above our heads in the video store. So we'd look at all this stuff, and so all of those things they stuck with us over the years. We decided when we were doing the show, eventually we'd just start doing our own action movie taglines for these movies. And they don't have to be quite as short or quite as legitimate.
Or family appropriate.
I think that mine from Olympus might have been my finest work.
Right. Well, yours from Olympus was Die Hard fucks the White House.
That was in so many words.
Okay,
yeah.
right? Yeah, it was very good.
But I like mine today, but I'm going to have you go first.
If you say Die Hard fucks London, I'm going to hit you in the face.
I thought about it. I wrote it down, and then I crossed it out.
All right. Remember Mike Banning? The guy that single-handedly saved the world? Well, he's back. And he's fucking thirsty for terrorist blood.
That was good.
It's good.
You went full jertard for a second.
Jertard?
You just like... Yeah, that was good. I'm actually like impressed.
You actually made me want to do that because in the movie when he said that, like 2 days later, you're like, why did he even say that?
I'm thirsty as fuck?
Yeah, I'm thirsty as fuck.
I think that might be my favorite line in the whole movie.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I think I have like two that I wrote down for favorite line, and that's definitely on the list.
I feel like the other one's got to be the same as mine. What are you made out of? Is it that one?
No,
Okay,
I
good.
like that line a lot, but
Right.
thirsty as fuck is probably my favorite line
a good
in the
one.
movie. Yeah. All right, here we go. Pick up the phone because London's calling. But the Clash will look like MC Hammer after this violent bloodbath. Stop. Banning time.
Okay. Okay. All right.
No,
It was good. No, it was good. I don't know where the Mix-a-Lot came. I mean, not Mix-a-Lot. Where did MC Hammer come in?
Stop banning time?
Well, I understand the reference.
I just wanted to say stop banning time, and I had to find a way to get there.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Pretty proud of that one. So the next thing we do on the show, I think what's happening right now...
We just lost all of our viewers.
For anybody who's watching or wondering what the hell is happening, the EP of our show, Steven, is sitting in the room watching. I don't know if he's watched an episode since we started doing this show.
It's been a long
It's been a
time.
while.
I've been watching. Keeping up with you guys.
But, like, in the room.
The level of laughter right now is just like what has happened over the last year of this show. All right, so the next thing we do here is...
evolved.
This is thesis statement. So what we do here is we take a bold idea, something big, something kind of rooted in hyperbole. This is the best this is the first this, the greatest example of X. And we share that about the movie. We kind of try to sort of back this up throughout the episode. Should have sort of a strong identity. And so this is a weird one because it's not a good movie.
Right. In Ben's opinion.
But it's an interesting movie.
It is, to say the least. Okay, I'm going to go first then. Mine is that this movie has one of the realest, most heartfelt moments that is completely surrounded by shit for an hour and 27 of the other minutes. When Angela Bassett dies, I was sitting there and I was like, I almost teared up. I was like, if I cry right now, I'm going to be so embarrassed. Like, I need to keep it together. We were sitting right next to each other in the theater. I was like, if he sees me tear up in this part, you got to keep it together, man. You got to keep it together. But there was something about it that was beautiful. It was actually really well acted.
We're watching like Banning hit shit. I'm like punching Andrew in the leg. I'm giving like literal fist pumps. I'm like, fuck yeah. He's just
I'm like, oh my god, did you see that moment with Angela Bassett?
I need to call my mom or my sister or my other sister or my other sister.
But that's mine. Is that it's just like it's like the equivalent of the speech in Independence Day.
Right. Yeah, it's
But
so
this
out
is
of
like
place.
yeah.
The Angela Bassett scene was good. I agree.
Very good.
Yeah. You knew she was gonna die though.
She
right?
was, I mean, you said that almost. Oh, it was the godmother moment.
She's like, I'll do it, Mike. I'll be the kid's godmother, and I look over at you, and I was just like,
dead. Yeah.
We got one of your taglines in the chat.
Oh,
Okay.
do we?
By Raider Football.
Oh.
In the greatest heist movie of 2016, Mike Banning steals all of the special effects budget, creating the worst-looking $100 million action movie, London Has Fallen. The best worst use of Morgan Freeman.
It is probably the best worst use of Morgan Freeman.
he's like at this point, he's reaching the Pacino Nicholson level of caricature, like where he just
Right.
like only plays like versions of himself.
The Waze app doing his voice was
Yeah.
actually promo for this movie.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why he did it. I had no idea, and I think one of our buddies, Alex, was driving like through Northern California, and he was like, "It was the most beautiful ride I've ever been on."
Yeah, Morgan Freeman. That's pretty good.
Please tank on left.
Yeah. The one thing I will say about Banning, I thought when you say the worst looking, I've heard Banning parties really hard. Gerard does. I've heard that he's a big party guy,
Yeah.
and he definitely looks since 2012 when they filmed the last one that he's drank a lot because
Yeah.
he doesn't look bad. He just looks like significantly older after 3 years. Like he doesn't. I don't know. I was just like, how did you?
He kind of looks hungover throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. His face looks a little puffy throughout
Yeah.
filming,
When he's still shredded, so you know that it's not.
Yeah.
It's drinking.
it's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be drinking.
You and I know very well what drinking does.
Yeah, it has to be. I found that surprising. But so my thesis statement has to do with something we talk about on here a lot, which is the sort of transition over the last decade from theatrical big budget films only coming out in theaters, having sort of full TV promo packages, billboards. We were all very aware of these movies and which the big ones were. To this point we're at now where it's really hard to tell what sort of an important movie is anymore because so many of them are straight to Redbox, so many of them are straight to Netflix.
Right.
There's all the financiers come from all these different places now.
I mean, I think a great example of that is Beast of No Nation for me. Like,
Right.
I'd seen it on Netflix. I was like, oh, I like Idris Elba, whatever. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, just huge recognition from the Academy.
Yeah,
You know?
and it's like a very, very legitimate movie. And so this movie to me is the most upfront example I can remember since maybe I was 10 years old of a film feeling like it shouldn't be in theaters, but it is in theaters.
Yeah.
It-
I understand where you're coming from. Like, I wouldn't want to. I loved watching this in theaters.
Like, okay, don't get me wrong, because when I say it's a bad movie, like, it's a bad movie in the sense that it's not like a movie I would give a 90%. It's like,
Right.
this is a very entertaining movie. I enjoyed the shit out of this movie.
Uh-huh.
But my point is, like, I'm watching this and I'm just thinking to myself, like, whose idea was this to make this, to spend $60 million and put the money behind this to advertise this? Because this movie was heavily advertised.
Yeah.
Like, I think about movies from the last few years that come out that have major stars in them, where the advertising is just kind of like, okay, that movie Out of the Furnace. Remember that movie?
yeah. What about the movie that you just saw? The new Coen Brothers movie
Coen Brothers movie.
with Channing Tatum.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It was so oddly advertised and so lightly advertised.
Hail Caesar.
Hail
A
Caesar,
movie with
yeah.
George Clooney, directed by the Coen Brothers, and it was like the advertising on the movie was almost exclusively YouTube. It was like I saw a bunch of YouTube ads for it for 2 weeks, and then it was in theaters, and now it's gone. And it's just crazy. Like it's not just like one linear idea of how to advertise a movie anymore. And to me, this movie is such a relic of the past. It's like we're just gonna put some stars in this movie. We're gonna throw a trashy script, blow a bunch of stuff up, spend a ton of money advertising it, put it out there, and it'll be just fine. And like watching it, you're just like, this isn't the way the world works anymore. Like this is gonna lose money. This is not. Nobody wants to see this. Like there's too many movies out there.
Do you think that they tried to push a $100 budget and the studio was like, no, it's not going to make $100 million. It's going to make, or it'll make $100 million and we'll still make 40 off of it. But if it was a $100 million budget, they'd be like, nah, this is a loss.
I could be wrong because the international receipts on Olympus were pretty big. Like
Yeah.
it made quite a bit of money overseas. In fact, I think it made more money overseas. And maybe the same
They
thing.
just wanted to see that happen to America.
Maybe. I mean, maybe the same thing will happen on this one. It could be, but my gut feeling is that this movie opened at 23, which we'll get to a little later, on a $60 million budget, versus the first film costing 70 and opening at 30. I think this movie drops off significantly, and if it's lucky, breaks even.
Yeah.
I just
mean,
don't see it.
You're talking domestically.
I'm thinking it might just barely break even worldwide.
Really? I got one more tagline. I like it.
Okay.
It's from Greg Castillo. London Bridge is falling down, but one agent will be there to catch it.
Okay.
Really, that actually would be on the box.
Simple.
For London
Yeah.
Has Fallen back
Yeah.
when we were in the video store.
That's good. I like it.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, so the next bit of our show here is something we call Fist Pump Moment. Fist Pump Moment is a thing we've been doing since the very beginning of the show, I think. I think this was one of the first
like
gimmicks we came up with.
very exciting.
And this is this thing that we do. It's like that moment when you're watching a movie and something happens and you just kind of look around. You're like, is anyone else seeing this right now? If you're watching the movie by yourself, especially, you click pause, you call your buddy, and you're like, you need to watch this scene. Look it up on YouTube right now. Look it up on YouTube right now. Or
wait.
Your roommate's like eating like his candlelit dinner in the other room with his girlfriend. And you're like, no, get over here. You need to see this happen.
Shut up, Janine. He's
Yeah,
got to see this.
You're like, you gotta watch this. This is so good. That's Fist Pump Moment, and it can be anything. Fist Pump Moment can be an explosion, a one-liner. It can be like just like a sweet look from a father to son that's touching. It can be anything. It can be an MTA operator in the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
It will never be that. It will never be that.
That movie is my Fist Pump Moment. My Fist Pump Moment for London Has Fallen is the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. So that is what a fist pump moment is, and this is one of those ones, if you guys have one, you can absolutely share it. People do like to share it in the comments sometimes, and of course, follow us on Twitter and tweet at us if you would like to share it there.
Yeah.
I'll go first this time. I have kind of a humble one.
Really?
Yeah, and I was between two, because the one I have is sort of like this little moment, but I just thought it was really sweet. And it's when they're running away, they're trying to get to the chopper, and they're in the car, and Butler is like, all the windows are blown out, he's like leaning out of the car shooting, all that stuff happens, and the guy on the bike like smashes through, and his head is in the car, and Butler just takes the gun, presses it to the top of the and just to like the top of the biker helmet, and just like, and the guy doesn't even fall out. He just like stops
just hold
moving.
him.
But I just love that he's like straight to the helmet,
Yeah.
through the helmet. Just doesn't even.
So good.
Yeah.
His kills are amazing
He
in
has
this
some
movie.
good kills in this one.
Another great moment with another biker was when it's the same thing. They get in
Yeah.
the window and he holds him, and then he like crashes into the underpass to like
Yeah.
just hit him off the side.
Yeah.
Oh, so brutal.
Brutal.
Speaking of brutal, my fist pump moment is fucking gnarly.
Okay.
Okay, so anytime Mike Banning wants information out of you, he's going to use a really big knife.
And it's gonna be like curvy and have like jagged backside.
And he's going to stab you everywhere that's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
So right when Eckhart and them get hit by that truck or whatever,
Yeah.
and they steal him, and Gerard Butler's left there, he starts just like stabbing the guy in the leg, and then up
Yeah.
higher on the leg, and the thigh, and the side, and the chest, and the arm. He's like, where is he? Where is he?
We're taking it.
But I was just watching, and I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome.
Yeah. I can't imagine being like the age we were when we watched Face Off and Con Air and those movies, seeing this movie. You would probably think this was the coolest thing you'd ever seen if you were 9 years old.
Absolutely. It would be mind-blowing.
Yeah, this is so violent to watch as a child. So violent.
This is like, but that's like what we did when we were kids.
Yeah.
Of that level of violence.
Yeah,
it's definitely
absolutely.
evolved. You know what? I'm gonna put you on the spot here, and I apologize, but I was just thinking about this. So in this recent slew of action heroes, there's the John Wicks.
Yep.
The Jack Reachers.
Yep.
The Brian Millses,
Sure.
which is Taken. There's Mike Banning.
Yeah.
And there's Denzel from Equalizer.
Okay, you're saying
Right.
like these are like the big ones that we've seen in the last few
Yeah,
years?
like the new throwaway action heroes, like
Okay.
the McClanes and the Riggs of like 2010.
Sure.
Rank them.
Rank
Can
them?
you rank them?
Oh, man.
So we got
All right.
Wick,
All right, so we got Wick.
Mills,
We got Mills. We
we got
got
Reacher,
Reacher, sweet.
Banning, and then Equalizer Denzel, because I can't remember his name.
And then Ryder from Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3.
No, absolutely not.
Equalizer Denzel.
You know what? I'll go first since I just put you on the spot.
Okay.
I'm going to go.
Who's your five? Who's
I
your
wish
five?
I could
Are you
remember.
counting down?
Yeah, I'll go fifth.
Okay.
It's Equalizer Denzel.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, I'm gonna go Equalizer Denzel. No, yes, no. I'm going Reacher 5.
Reacher. Okay, so Reacher's my 4.
And I'll go Equalizer Denzel as my 4. I'll tell you the reason though. The reason that Equalizer Denzel beats out Reacher for me, and Reacher is super sweet. Like
Is it
Reacher,
because he counts the seconds of death?
that scene alone in Equalizer is the best scene in the movie.
That is true.
And that scene is better than anything that happens that Cruise does in Reacher.
Actually, you know what? And then there's also the one in the diner where Denzel. I just recently saw this on TV.
Yeah.
I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna put Reacher at 5 and Denzel at 4. You're right.
Now, Reacher does have a couple scenes going for him that are sweet.
Yeah.
He has the scene when he beats up all the dudes, Josh Hellman and those other dudes out in the
Yep,
street,
yep.
and he grabs the one dude's leg and keeps punching him in the nuts.
He's like,
and he's like, remember, you wanted this. Awesome scene. That's great. And also, when he kicks Jai Courtney's ass in the rain.
Yeah,
it's a really
it's a
good
good
fight.
fight, yeah.
And like the flying knee, Cruz is actually kind of surprisingly badass in that scene.
Yeah.
And Jack Reacher 2 comes out this year.
Yeah.
So we'll do Jack Reacher 1.
And John Wick 2. Not this year, but is it this year?
It might be in the fall. I know Reacher does.
Yeah.
Wick might be next year because they haven't started filming Wick, or maybe they
It's
have.
funny because for every single one of these people that I just talked about, they got sequels.
Yeah.
Every single one. Equalizer 2, everything.
People love it.
Yeah.
So I go Banning 3.
Banning 3. I think I'm going to put Mills at 3.
And Banning 2 and Wick 1.
I think I'm going to put Banning at 1.
You like Banning number 1?
He's so awesome.
Banning's your 1.
He's so awesome.
Wait, Mike, what happens if you don't come back? You're fucked.
You're fucked. Yeah, exactly. It's just honest. I'm going to go Banning, Wick, Mills, Equalizer, and then Reacher.
The only reason that I have to put Wick at 1 is because
He's
Wick's
so sweet.
opening scene in the house is so sweet.
Yeah.
It's such a good like gun fu, like whatever you call that.
Yeah, gun fu.
It's so cool that like that scene alone makes Wick
And
the
it's
coolest.
so much more real than anything that happens in this movie.
Yeah. Like Banning is definitely sweet, and I'll give him 3. But I don't know. This you put me on the spot. If I had to really think about it, it's possible Banning might actually be 5 for me.
Really?
Maybe Equalizer Denzel's 5 and Reacher's 3. Now that I'm thinking about how sweet the Reacher fight in the rain is, I don't know.
All right, we digress. But I might have to switch Banning and Wick. We'll see.
right.
The fans definitely agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
That Wick's number 1.
Yeah, he's really cool. He has the sweetest guns of all these guys too. That's the
Yeah.
other thing. Wick's guns are very cool.
That always matters.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into star profiles.
All
and
right.
like, what a weird thing. I mean, Butler's hardly been working at all. So his 3 previous credits are Olympus Has Fallen, How to Train Your Dragon 2, and Gods of Egypt, which came out the same week as this movie, and did
weekend
before, and it did horribly. I think it's barely made more money than this movie in 2 weeks.
Gods of Egypt?
Yeah.
Yeah, giant fail.
Its reviews are horrible. I mean, How to Train Your Dragon 2 is obviously massive. Everyone loves that.
Yeah.
Everyone loves How to Train Your Dragon. And then before that was just Olympus Has Fallen.
Like if I was ever to get like to be like a big famous movie star, like if it just like happened to me on accident and I had like a couple big hits, like 300, I would skip all the legitimate stuff that like all the swings and misses romantic comedies. I would literally just be like, all right, find me a DreamWorks, find me a Pixar,
Right.
find me an animated voice that I can do that is going to be like just any of them, and just get me on one of those projects because it
Perfect.
will be a hit and it will be a giant money making credit.
And I'll never have to work again.
There will be a sequel. I'll be in the sequel.
Yeah.
Like they're the biggest successful. Like
I mean, look at Zootopia.
all of them.
I know we're going to get into this later, but I'm just going to give you the numbers right now. This movie opened against Zootopia, and this movie made $21 million. Zootopia made $75 million.
Yeah.
Just domestically.
Just domestic.
This weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, how many Pixar movies can you name that have been a fail? Almost none.
Very little, yeah.
Then none of them have been a fail. How many DreamWorks movies? Pretty much none.
Right.
Like, these almost impossible. Like, it's kind of mind
And
blowing.
even that new production company that did the Minions movies and
Yeah.
all that, like, they're killing it.
Yep, they're always good. So I think that's the answer. But yeah, Butler, Gods of Egypt, How to Train Your Dragon, Olympus Has Fallen. I mean, Butler's career, we talked about this before. He had no formal acting training, so he just sort
You
of
really can't tell.
he just sort of happened on these roles. He, 300 broke him, and then he just sort of has like coasted through these terrible movies. A lot of them: The Ugly Truth,
Yeah.
Machine Gun Preacher. We were just talking about Law Abiding Citizen, which I never actually saw.
I mean, he's sweeting it like he's sweet in this one, but it's not really a good movie.
Gamer.
I did not like that movie.
I didn't see it.
Dude, this movie has sweet moments of being a video game.
Yeah,
Like
it
when they
does.
went straight into the first person, it was actually done really well.
Yeah.
And they just announced a new movie that's coming out that is going to be like the first 100% perfect like video game movie.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you what it's called because I can't remember.
Yeah, Butler, I mean, it's funny also he was a producer on this film, so I'm sure like he took back end on it as I'm just guessing there. That's not verified, but I would be very surprised if bringing back Butler as the star of the sequel, he didn't, take some points on the back end as opposed to more money up front.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But go get that money, man. That's how I feel about Gerard Butler. It's like, dude, you found like 300 is the best thing that could have ever happened to you.
Yep.
I mean, it's like the same thing that happened to Ryan Reynolds when he did Blade all those years ago. It's just like, you get that role. Somebody finds you that role where like you just get super, super jacked.
Exactly.
You have this body. You have a body type that just looks that way. If you look like that, some people's bodies look good, but they just don't. It doesn't like look great on film.
To do that to your body is almost impossible. It's so hard to do. It takes so much discipline and work. And then when people see you like that, I mean, even the guy Taron Egerton, when we were doing Kingsman last week, which go watch that episode, it's awesome.
Yeah.
He talked about how awesome and great it was to be in that good a shape and get it on camera. Like that moment when he's swimming away and the thing underwater, he was talking about that specifically. And he's like, that's eternal.
Yeah.
I will always know that I looked that good in film. And that's how it is with Butler. Like, he's not a good actor, and he knows he's not a good actor. But he's embraced who he is.
Yeah,
and
fully.
I love it.
Yeah, completely. He owns it. That's what I love about it. That's what I love about Butler.
He's not trying to win an Oscar.
No, and he's like, that's why like he was probably like pushing the hardest for the sequel to get made. You know what I mean?
He's like, let's do it.
Now Eckhart Eckart's like the sad. He's got like a very tragic career, in my opinion, because he was a guy that when Thank You for Smoking came out, and we talked about this a little bit on the Olympus episode, which was a few weeks ago.
If you guys haven't seen that, you should go watch it. You and 30,000 other people are just digging. I guess like 25.
Yeah,
but
it did well. It was nice. It was a big hit for us. But we talked about this before. There was a movie, I think it's called In the Company of Men, or if it's called something else, but it's from like late 90s, early 2000s. And I talked about this before, right? Where it's like he and like, you know, he's the handsome guy at the office and he has the coworker who's like the short guy, balding, glasses. There's a deaf woman who starts working at the office and they like sort of compete to like win her love. But for Eckhart, it's a joke. This other guy falls in love with the deaf woman. Deaf woman falls in love with Eckhart. She like won't stay with the short guy, goes for Eckhart, he casts her off. It's extremely dark and depressing.
Right.
Well acted by Eckhart.
yeah, you're saying I'd love this movie.
Yeah, it's super dark, it's super twisted. Ends with like the bald guy just like at the door of the deaf woman, and she's just like, I don't want you here. And
spoiler alert.
So sad. But then a few years later was Thank You for Smoking, and from that point it was like
right. And that's what I said exactly on the Olympus episode was that was when everyone was like, Aaron Eckhart's the next George Clooney.
Yeah.
He's good looking and he's the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, he seemed like he really had it going. And so the next few years, I mean, he gets that part in Dark Knight, which was a big one. You know, he's okay in it, but like he's just in all these movies that don't do much. And then this picture we have up on the screen, I believe, is from I, Frankenstein. And he got insanely jacked.
Yeah, he shredded.
Yeah, he stopped drinking a long time ago.
He put on a lot of weight. I mean, muscle.
Yeah, he stopped drinking a long time ago. I heard him on the Chris Hardwick podcast.
Yeah.
And that they were talking about they stopped drinking around the same time, like 8 or 9 years ago.
Wow.
But
hey, Donica, can you put up the Butler graphic again? I don't know if Ben saw it.
It's a good one.
He's just drunk. Anyway, you can go back. I just wanted to see it.
If we ever get to party with Gerard Butler,
oh, dude, I will rage with Butler.
Yeah, I would go shot for shot with that guy. Like I don't care how drunk I get. I don't care how hungover I feel the
following
next
week,
day.
It's just Steven sitting in here with one mic. We lost Ben and Andrew last week. Yeah, they tried to drink with Gerard Butler and both died.
Look at him. This is good. So I, Frankenstein to me is one of those things where it's like, all right, man, somebody in your corner didn't have your back, because what are you doing I, Frankenstein? Not like you didn't get jacked enough, and like not like you didn't do a good job with it, but just like it takes so much for you to win in that situation. You have to convince so many people to see this movie because it's so uncharacteristic that I don't know. And I think it's one of those swing and a miss type of situations where it's just like I wish he had gotten better roles over the years, because I love Aaron Eckhart.
Me too.
He had a great great.
That came out right around the same time as the Lincoln movie, right? The
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
And that movie's awesome.
Yeah,
that movie's actually really sweet. And this one, and then there was also, you know, the Wolfman and stuff. It's so weird with movies that are like that. I, Frankenstein and the Wolfman stick out more than any other two.
Yeah.
Where you have Anthony Hopkins, Benicio del Toro, Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah.
In just a shit movie.
Right.
Where they're trying too hard and reaching too far.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things that it's not like it's over for him, but I mean, you can even see in this movie, it's like he's getting to that next level. He's getting to like the level Clooney's at now in terms of age, where it's like you can't quite be the like perpetually 38-year-old leading man anymore.
Did you hear that Clooney wants to retire?
Yeah, I did hear that.
He doesn't want to see himself get old on camera?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it would make me really sad.
Me too.
I don't believe he'll come back.
I know, I do, absolutely. And then, okay, so anyway, so he does Incarnate next in 2015, which is an independent film I know nothing about, and then he does My All-American. And what happened? I think he just needs to take a break
Maybe
or something.
He's one of those. I think we talked about this before, but Eckhart to me is the guy where he needs like a hit Netflix series, or like he needs
like a Shameless.
Yeah, he needs like a premium cable type of series that he's awesome in, that he gets a great role that takes off and he does 3 seasons of, and then he'll end up in some big director's movie as one of the leads again, and like kind of I think that sort of seems like to be a path that people can take now because there's so much quality content. Mm-hmm. You don't have to just rely on movies. People don't see movies. People just don't see movies unless they have like big promotion behind them or get great reviews.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's tough. It's harder and harder to just sell off star power these days.
Yeah, TV seems to be much more approachable for an audience.
Yeah.
So what I think we're going to do with production development here is, because we did this for the most part, these exact same people 3 weeks ago, and I think a lot of you that watched the Olympus episode probably are watching this episode. We will touch on them quickly, but I don't think we want to just like rehash all the same stuff again.
Sure. Do you want? I can breeze through writers real quick if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So Creighton Rothenberger and Katrine Benedict are the 2 leads on this. They also wrote Olympus Has Fallen. They're a married couple. They've been working together since 2013, and they've been married since 2006. They've also done Expendables 3, and they have 2 more projects in pre-production. They're cool, you know. They're going to start writing, directing, and being married together. That's great. The other 2 guys that wrote this movie are Christian Gudegast and Chad St. John. Chad St. John is essentially a nobody. Like the dude has 2 other credits. One of them is The Punisher: Dirty Laundry.
What is that, Punisher: Dirty Laundry?
I have no idea, but I know Thomas Jane
It's
was
a
in
fan
it.
film.
Okay. Okay. All right. That makes more sense. Thank God for him.
Thank God for Danica.
And then the other one is he's shooting a new movie that he wrote called Replicas, starring a Mr. Keanu Reeves, which I'm excited about. That
Love that.
That's cool. And then the other guy, Gudegast, he has a little bit more on his resume with credits such as A Man Apart and Beyond City Limits. But he's currently only credited as one of the only 2 writers on this next Butler project, which is Den of Thieves.
Did you ever watch A Man Apart?
Was that the Vin Diesel one?
Yeah.
I think I did, but I don't remember it.
I don't think I watched it. I seem to recall the trailer and thinking like, I don't want to admit to any of my friends that I kind of want to see this, but it looks kind of sweet. Like, because it's just like the trailer starts out and like he's on the phone and his girlfriend's like, baby, when are you coming home? And he's like, I'll be home soon. And then like the house gets broken into and she gets stolen, and then like, and I think she's dead or gone, and he has to like avenge her and kills everyone.
I do love revenge movies.
I think he's a cop maybe or something like that. I'm not really sure. I never watched it, but I always was kind of curious.
Oh, you know what? While we're at it, might as well just take care of this for us. So at AMA Podcast, about A Man Apart and about what's that Denzel and Ryan or Safe House.
Safe House.
Just tell us about them. Tweet at us or talk in the live chat. Just what are your opinions on Safe House and A Man Apart? Because Safe House got great reviews and your roommate loved it.
And made a lot of money.
It made a lot of money, so we could cover it on the show because we do love ourselves some Denzel.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, tweet at us about those 2 movies, please.
Safe House coming up. We have the next 2 weeks, I think, plotted out already, but we'll get to that at the end of the show, the pitch.
Yeah. Babak Najafi.
Yeah, so Babak Najafi, he is literally a replacement level director.
Replacement of a replacement.
Yeah, so what originally happened is that Antoine Fuqua, who directed the first movie, who, by the way, I want to clarify to everybody who watched like the episode that we did talking about Fuqua. So I've called him a hack before, but that's only because he did Training Day, and then the world was like, oh, Antoine Fuqua is really, really incredibly talented, and he's this impressive dramatic director. He's not. He's an action movie director, but he's a great action movie director.
He's a good action movie director.
He is what we said. I wish that the world perceived him more like Tony Scott instead of Ridley Scott.
Exactly.
And if they did, the movies he does are sweet. Street Kings, not good, very entertaining.
Right.
Shooter, not good, very entertaining.
That movie's sweet.
Equalizer, not good, very entertaining.
Yeah.
Tears of the Sun. I mean, these are movies. Olympus, these are movies where
if he had I think it was your actual thesis statement, but if he'd never done Training Day, no one would be offended if you said that he wasn't a good director.
Right. People would be like, oh yeah, this guy, he makes super entertaining action movies.
Right.
I'll go see an Antoine Fuqua movie, as opposed to like Denzel won an Oscar and Ethan Hawke got nominated for an Oscar, and that movie was like a dramatic masterpiece. And I always thought it was kind of a hacky movie.
What was it, 2001? 2000?
1 maybe, 1 or 3.
Okay, so it was so long ago, and that will always be the director of Training Day.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Because he has nothing else to talk about.
Even Southpaw, it's like Southpaw, he's going to make a drama, and it's like, it's going to be good. Then it turned out it wasn't good. Why wasn't it good? Because it was directed by a guy who's a sweet action director, not a big drama director.
Yeah, exactly.
So the world doesn't get it. So he was supposed to do it. Then the director of Charlie Countryman, whose name is
escaping you.
Is escaping me. Donica, can you look up the name of the director of Charlie Countryman?
Yep.
His name is maybe it'll come to me in the meantime.
Charlie Countryman.
He wasn't a big action guy by any means, but he was signed on to do this project because...
Bond.
Yes, Frederick Bond. So Frederick Bond replaced Fuqua because Fuqua didn't like the script. Frederick Bond dropped out 6 weeks before production started.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that more than me reading Scheduling Conflicts on Equalizer.
Yeah.
Too, because I
read both pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would guess much more that he just didn't want to do the
definitely.
script. So, so Frederick Bond drops out of the project, and they have to get Babak Najafi, who... I mean, his biggest thing is the Swedish movie Seb, which was originally recognized as the best film at the Guldbagge Awards, which is the official annual Swedish Film Awards. It's like he essentially won like Best Picture at the Swedish Oscars.
Yeah.
Which is, he's not replacement level in his talent, but in terms of just, I mean, when you're putting a guy behind a movie as big as this with a $60 million budget, it's not that surprising that this movie kind of missed on some levels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just,
this movie really has no soul at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily blame the direction as much as I would blame the writing and editing, but someone there had to just like sit down and be like, okay, look guys, I know we wanted to bring back this whole cast, but here's the thing. Robert Forster doesn't need to be in the movie. We didn't need Jackie Earle Haley. This entire like who is the subplot of who's the weasel situation, don't need that story.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, you Morgan Freeman like kind of needs to be in the movie because he's a name, but like he's the only one. Melissa Leo has I think 2 lines.
She's only brought back because she got her ass kicked so badly in the first one.
I wanted her to have a bigger part.
Me
she
too.
Was
she was
sweet
good
in the first movie.
one. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where like this movie just feels like super clunky, doesn't make any sense. Like a lot of like the plot is just like not explained.
I mean, this is like the most ragtag production of writers, directors, even Focus Features, the studio. Like it's just like who are these people? And so you did more research than I did on the producers.
Yeah, so it's funny. Gerard Butler, Mark Gill, Alan Siegel, Les Weldon, and Danny Lerner are the guys that are listed here. So we know about Butler. Gill and Siegel were on Olympus, and Les Weldon and Danny Lerner came on for this one. Now, just like all these movies, there's like 12 producers listed. These guys are the ones on the Wikipedia. They're just exclusively the producers as opposed to like unit producer, supervising, regional. But if you look, I mean, I went through all of their filmographies and read a bit about each one of them. What I found was basically this. Mark Gill did Law Abiding Citizen, The Iceman, which was that movie with Michael Shannon, which actually is pretty entertaining.
It was actually pretty good.
But still, very clearly like a straight-to-video movie.
Yeah.
Like not like a quality, classic.
Yeah.
And then Olympus Has Fallen. Alan Siegel did the same 3 movies plus Machine Gun Preacher.
I was like, what's See Above?
Yeah. Les Weldon worked on the Expendables franchise, so that's something.
Money. Yeah.
War Inc., which was that movie that was like...
That was
Cusack? Yeah. It kind of just looked like a hybrid of like Lord of War and Grosse Point Blank.
Yeah, and then like Bad Lieutenant.
Yeah, it didn't really... It was one of those things where like the trailer was coming out, I was like, this looks too familiar. I don't know what this is. And then Conan the Barbarian, the one with Jason Momoa from a few years ago.
Right, and that's also what Danny Lerner worked on, The Last Guy.
Yeah, Danny Lerner also worked on Conan the Barbarian, and then like 45 straight-to-video movies starring everyone. I started to click on them and be like, it's kind of like looking at Wesley Snipes' filmography.
Right.
They all kind of look like the same movie. One of them is starring like Antonio Banderas, and one of them is starring like Snipes is probably at least in one of them, and like there was somebody else who was like escaping me. But it was just one of those things like I've never heard of any of these movies. These all were straight to video.
It literally says on the outline all the straight to video movies ever.
There was like 50.
Yeah, I was gonna. He probably has like 50 credits, and they're all just.
And it's not even like 06 forward. It's like back to like 95.
What a
back
gangster.
when like straight to video was actually just different than theaters.
Right.
Like when it was like
when straight to video was like an embarrassment.
Yeah, if movies that were straight to video back in the 90s were like this wasn't good enough to cut it.
Yeah.
You didn't ever have an A-list star in a straight to video movie in the 90s. Bruce Willis was never going to do straight to video. Nowadays stars do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And this guy was doing it all the way back to the beginning. So
Danny Lerner Airfield.
Yeah. Seems like this is just like one of those same situations we find where it's a big group of guys that often work together on a lot of projects. Butler clearly is tied in with all these guys because he's in a lot of the movies with these guys. And, you have the writers on Expendable 3. Les Weldon produced the Expendables franchise. It just seems like there's a lot of people with aspirations to make fun movies with a lot of explosions.
Like Gerard Butler.
Yeah, these aren't people. It's from the movies that they're producing and making, these guys look like they're interested in making fun movies that make money. They're not interested in winning an Oscar. So, hey, more power to them,
Yeah, absolutely. Now this is where we, we get into the money and the critical, which is, It's kind of sad on both counts, to be honest with you. So the studio's Focus Features, they bought it out, or they got the rights to it towards the very end of pre-production, I believe.
Yep.
The budget was $60 million, plus I believe an additional, like, almost 40
For marketing?
in marketing. I could be
Crazy.
wrong on that number, but I saw it somewhere.
Heavy marketing budget on this movie.
Yeah,
like I said,
everywhere.
This was in sports games. This was on network. This was
Every
billboards.
billboard around LA,
This was
yeah.
YouTube. I mean, and they're still pushing it. Like the gym this morning, watching the NCAA tournament games that were on, commercials, London has fallen. Like, big.
So I believe that. I would believe that there's an additional almost 40 million. So it opened March 4th, obviously, just happened. Domestically, it has grossed 23 million, and it's grossed 13 million worldwide for a total of 36 as of 5 days later.
Yeah.
Which is...
It's fine. I mean, it'll.
It's interesting. Yeah. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Is it going to break even? Who knows?
In 3 weeks, it'll make its money back. But I don't know if there's a $40 million marketing budget. It's not going to make much after the first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe video plays well. Like I said, I don't think that there was an actual. I don't actually think anyone wanted a sequel to Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah.
Like, I was joking when I said that they demanded it. Like, there's a lot of action movies that you feel like they should make sequels to. I mean, okay, Reacher is one of the ones where I was like, I don't know why we get a sequel to Jack Reacher. Like, that
Right.
movie's entertaining, but like, I wasn't like, I need to see more of this.
That's exactly how I felt about Olympus.
Yeah, but Reacher made a lot of money, so it's the same sort of situation. Movies like Equalizer, they released that movie as pretty much I don't know if it was in theaters, but it certainly wasn't
Believe
promoted
so.
like it was.
Yeah.
Most of its money was made in straight-to-video and streaming, at which point it made enough money doing that who's to think that it won't do the same thing?
Right. I mean, these pretty much all these movies are what we would call modern day cult classics.
Yeah.
You know, like
John
all those
Wick.
5 guys that we just mentioned earlier.
John Wick just happened to be awesome, and so did Taken.
Yeah.
As far as the movies we're talking about goes, like, those are the two.
Yeah, John Wick is actually the best movie in that whole list, I believe.
Yeah, and Taken. I mean, the first Taken's great.
Yeah.
You know, I was actually listening to
My Kimmy turned 17 this month.
Yeah. I was watching or reading the Hollywood Reporter's top 100 most popular movie quotes of all time list this last week.
It's the quote, isn't it?
They have the Taken quote in the top 100, which I thought was really interesting. I think it was voted on by fans because there was some that were just like so obviously should have been in there, and then there were some that just like had no place. There was 3 Jerry Maguire quotes.
Oh, excellent.
In the top 100. But I mean, there was also like 3 Casablanca
Oh,
quotes.
I already know. Show me the money, help me help you, and you have me at hello. Right?
You had me at hello. Show me the money. Maybe it was help me help you. It might have been a different one, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, there was a lot of fun quotes. You should look it up. You make me want to be a better man from As Good as It Gets was in there.
That's a good one.
The Taken quote. You had like the Star Wars quotes. It was it's a good list.
On our Taken episode, I think we did that with Kathy Kelly. I can't remember.
we did.
Who we haven't had on in a long time.
Yeah.
I believe we even talked about it on that episode. Like, if you hadn't seen this movie, you still knew the speech.
Yeah.
It was that iconic.
Very iconic, yeah. So, I mean, of all the things on all these movies we just mentioned, that's definitely the thing that stands out the most. So, in that sense, that's the movie that is the most important of those 5. But I think Wick is better just because it's sort of more... no, actually, I mean, Taken's the one. Wick is more awesome, but Taken's the movie.
Right.
Taken's like a classic and was like a really...
They made 3 of them already.
And Taken was a phenomenon, too, because they spent such a small amount of money and it made so much.
Yeah, and it did okay critically, which this movie did not. So it's got a 6.4 on IMDb, which is, I think, 0.1 below Olympus Has Fallen.
Which is super funny to me that this would get a 6.4 on IMDb. Like,
I want to see a 4.3 movie. I want to know what movie that is.
yeah,
you know?
6s are pretty common.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They don't drop that low.
And then so on Rotten Tomatoes, we have this is what we always talk about, man. All critics 26%, top critics 14% with
Amazing.
over 30 reviews, and the audience score is 63%. Because why not? We know exactly what we're getting when we go to see this movie.
Absolutely. I mean, this is our bread and butter, right? It's like 63. You always want the third column to be the biggest, and the fact that the third column on this one literally quadruples the top critics rating is just incredible.
Like, it does. It actually does.
14%.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
That's the lowest one we've had on this show by far.
You think so?
I definitely think so.
There was one other movie.
Maybe Demolition Man. No.
No, there was one other movie I think that we did that had like an appallingly low, maybe Mortal Kombat.
Oh, okay.
It might have been Mortal
fair.
Kombat.
And then also Peter Travers from Rolling Stone says,
I like this one. This is my favorite.
Director Babak Najafi, who not surprisingly staged something called Easy Money 2, botches the action sequences so crudely, consistently, and cynically that he makes Michael Bay look like Kurosawa.
Michael Bay does look like Kurosawa often, so I don't think that's a fair label. But yes, that's a
great review.
It's very funny.
It's brutal.
Yeah. I wonder if would it be fun for us to start writing the
Our
AMA
own
review,
reviews?
the AMA tagline review as part of this segment and adding it?
I think so. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Tell us.
I mean, it's kind of like action movie tagline. We would have to like put some thought into it and make them coherent.
Right.
But I mean, it might be kind of fun.
Like a legit one?
Yeah, like a legit one.
Okay.
Like, I mean, that Travers thing is really funny, and we would crack ourselves up if we had written that.
Yeah.
But I could also see us writing that. So
Very intelligent and funny.
Yeah, and correct.
Yeah.
Ultimate action scene, I think just cue up, we have this B-roll thing. We can just kind of play this in the background. This is just something we found that is it's just essentially behind the scenes footage of them filming this. A lot more real things on screen here than I expected. I thought just a lot more green screen and explosions. But, it has some real things. I love that Jackie Earle Haley was in this. Like, that had to have been announced on Deadline. Like, somebody was like, Jackie Earle Haley joins cast of Olympus Has Fallen sequel, London Has Fallen. And it's like, I think he has, like, 2 lines.
Yeah, literally. And I can't understand why he would do it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like...
He's not working a lot.
I guess it's one of these things where if they're making a sequel and the first movie had made a lot of money and they called your agent and they said, look, we want to pay you to come back and film for one day so you have 2 scenes to shoot.
Right.
And it's going to be a big movie. Why wouldn't you do it? Like,
totally.
Why wouldn't you do it? Of course you would do it. And if the Jackie Earle Haley, it's like, hey, we need to cast this part. Like, hey, who do we know? It's like, all right, Jackie, we know Jackie. Like, he's good. He'll be able to handle this. Like, let's put him in the movie.
X amount of dollars, 1 take each. See you later.
Yeah, it comes in. He has two scenes, films for a day. He's done. Like, I get it. It's just one of those things where, like, it's like this movie thought that it was supposed to be, like, Olympus, but then the bigger, better, more impressive version.
Right.
And it's like it didn't get the memo that they were making it for $10 million less. And, like, it wasn't going to be. Nobody cared. Nobody, like... That's the thing that I just found so surprising about this movie is if this had been a straight-to-video sequel, we would have still done it on the show.
Right.
It still would have been fun to do. They just didn't need to spend as much money. Like, the $40 million just didn't need to happen.
Yeah. What are you showing us the only thing that's real because it's just the actors because everything else is fake?
Yeah, there's some scenes of, like, some trucks blowing up and some things burning.
Right.
Gerard Butler doing, like, facial massaging techniques to the left side of his face to try to get it to cooperate when he talks.
What is your favorite action scene in this movie? Do you have one?
I mean, I think it's got to be the initial attack, just because, like, there's, like, some sweet... The second time that Banning is like, RPG!
Yeah.
RPG! I liked that sequence. Like, that sequence was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like, Banning is just like a superhero. He just, like, shoots at people and never gets hit.
Never gets hit.
One shots everyone.
And never misses.
Never gets shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would have to be the scene, like, because there's, like I said, my favorite, my fist bump moment was the gunshot to the helmet,
right?
And that's during that scene.
The car chase is pretty sweet, but yeah, I agree. I do think it is just the initial assault.
Yeah, because here you go, some explosions.
Okay,
look at that. It's like really exploding. Oh, that's the last scene.
Movie's over. That's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I know. It looks super real. The funny thing is, like, this was the most tertiary throwaway part of the whole movie.
This part bothered me. That his thing was so big, and there's so many people watching. It would have been so obvious. But whatever. It's London Has Fallen.
Yeah, they didn't need to explain anything.
No, you don't have to legitimize. That's one thing that's cool about movies like this.
Yeah,
is you never have to legitimize anything.
Face Off is just is like the entirety of the Shield lost, except in an action movie. It has no explanations for anything. Face Off makes the least sense of any movie we've ever done.
Yeah, I love how his face is just fixed at the end.
Yeah,
they never acknowledge it
completely,
even though the world's leading scientist has died.
Yeah. We'll fix you.
All right, that's enough of that up there.
Yeah, well, we can just run it in the background. But let's get into favorite lines. Talk about our favorite lines in the movie. So I said the one earlier that I thought was sweet, which is when they've just gotten into the KGB headquarters with Jacqueline.
Right.
She's it's KG, not MI6, not KGB. She's the MI6's best. Don't fuck with her. That's literally like all you get because she's pretty much an irrelevant character after that. Does nothing in the whole movie.
Why is she even in this movie? It's so weird.
Yeah, and so then Banning's like, I don't know about you, but I'm thirsty as fuck. Why'd you say that? Who wrote that in?
And then he proceeds to chug a whole glass of water to show you that he was actually thirsty.
I think, and that part of it I liked because they were playing up the whole like banning is just a crude and ridiculous thing.
Exactly,
a lot more, you know. And he had, like you said, like this funny scene. Michael, if you don't come back, you're fucked. Like that stuff was funny.
He has so much more of a personality in this movie than he does in the first one.
Yeah, exactly.
First one was just like a killer.
Yeah, he had some funny lines, but they definitely played it up in the writing, no question. But my other favorite line, and this is sort of a fist bump moment too, is the end of the movie, spoiler alert, is like this character Jackie and this guy John Lancaster, who's like, he's like the shit weasel. He's the guy who's double-crossed.
You know he's the shit weasel, but he's so irrelevant.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like somehow someone got in and like authorized some cameras or something, and like who did it, and you kind of know that it's him.
Yeah.
Everybody's blind to it. And at the end, he's like in the parking garage, and he's like packing up his bag to make his getaway. And Jackie has figured out that it's him. And she's like walking up to him, and he's like, "Hey, Jackie." And she's like, "Why'd you do it, John?" And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And she's like, "Don't do it, John." And he's like walking. He's like,
it's
slowly,
like the thing's like 10 feet away, and he's like
slowly backing up. She's like, "Don't do it, John." And he's like, what are you talking about? She's like, "Get on the fucking ground, John." And she says it like 6 times and then shoots him.
Pops him right in the head.
And like, you're just like, this was such a dramatic scene,
right?
And it didn't matter at all. Like this story didn't matter.
No one cares about the two of you.
Either character.
No.
Why'd you guys leave it in the movie? It seems like you cut everything else out that would have made it relevant. But her delivery of "Get on the fucking ground, John," was so convincing. Yeah. It might have been both my fist bump moment and favorite line.
I think you just have a crush on her.
I like her. I like the accent.
My favorite line is they're running at the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
They're on their run, and then Banning starts to run backwards, and Eckhart's like, "God, what are you made out of?" He's like, "Bourbon and bad decisions."
Let's go to the bar.
And they bring it back in later at the very end, like when they're all like broken and battered, and he's like, "Bourbon and bad decisions, huh?"
Yeah.
That's it. It's bad, really bad, but I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. They got it. They poked fun at themselves, which is awesome.
And that's probably just real. That's probably just that wasn't even a lot. It was improv.
Yeah, he's talented.
He's just telling the truth.
He's UCB.
He is UCB. New Star Wars movie.
Yeah. So all right. So let's get into hero villain rank.
Let's do it. We got our graphics here.
Yeah.
Yours is a little higher than mine, isn't it?
Yeah, I liked this Banning.
Yeah.
Even though he was puffy-faced and a little older looking, I was a fan. I liked this Banning. Yeah, I mean, it was tough for me because, as you can see, you know, he's a couple spots ahead of Olympus Has Fallen Mike Banning.
Right.
And most specifically, he gets ahead of one of the Ethan Hunts.
Yeah, that's a big one.
He beats out MI5 Ethan Hunt. Not as good as Ghost Protocol Ethan Hunt.
Ethan Hunt from MI5 hangs off of a plane.
I love MI5 Ethan Hunt. Like I'm a big fan, but Ghost Protocol Ethan Hunt is cooler because he has the Dubai building climbing scene, which is just like such a sweet scene.
What about holding his breath for 6 minutes, man? I totally forgot about that.
Oh yeah, God, that was sweet.
100% forgot. They're like, you don't need to do that, Tom. It's not necessary. He's like, but it'll help the film.
Yeah. I just want to do that movie again. How have we not watched that a second time? That movie was great.
Yeah, I've only seen it once.
Yeah, that movie was awesome. Actually, maybe MI5 is sweeter because he does all the motorcycle driving too, like going around the corner and like
the car, the Beamer,
dinging his knee and all that.
I like that where he's like, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We can always, we'll do an adjustment.
We'll do it. Yeah. All right. So I have him at 26, which is right behind John Wick. Yeah. So I guess that answers my question from earlier. John Wick is number 1, Banning is number 2.
Yep.
And then he's right in front of Olympus Has Fallen Banning. Because
do my eyes deceive me? Do you have Brian Mills from Taken ahead of both?
Do I?
Yeah, you have Brian Mills from Taken ahead of both.
Yeah. Damn it! I'm just totally shooting myself in the foot here. Hey man, it is what it is. It's on paper.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And then so we can move on to our movie ranking.
Yeah, now this is one where we differed significantly.
Yes, it was. I'm at 31. You're at last, or second to last.
Second to last. Mortal Kombat is a worse movie than this, but this is not as good as Demolition Man. This is not as good as Independence Day. This is not as good as Jurassic World, Bourne Legacy.
The movies that I have this in front of, it's appalling.
You have this in front of Tombstone, for God's sake.
Yep, and Lethal Weapon.
Andrew's not a big fan of Tombstone. That was like one of those ones.
No,
where
I did like it, but it's just not the same type of movie for me.
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, Lethal Weapon, Furious 7. Anyway, Bourne Legacy. Yeah. We don't have to focus on this, guys.
Better than Taken.
But serious, yeah, I don't know. There was just something about. I think it's because of how much I enjoyed this movie with how bad it was.
Yeah,
It let me
I get
know
that.
how good it was.
Look,
to
Con Air
me.
is not a good movie, but we both have it significantly higher. We
Yeah,
love Con Air.
exactly.
That's what I was thinking. Is that this movie, as like sort of trashy and hilarious as it was, it's kind of like the classics that movies that, because when we were kids and those movies came out, we had no frame of reference for whether or not they were actually good. We just like saw them and thought they were sweet. When we got older, we learned to love them because they had been part of our childhood.
Right, it was more nostalgic than anything.
But people who were in their 20s and 30s when they came out were like, this movie's terrible.
I'm
This is
sure.
a trashy piece of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, so this movie, to a 9-year-old, they might think it's awesome, and 15 years from now, we might be looking at the new Ben and Andrew, talking
Right.
about how much of a classic
right, and
London
London Has Fallen
was.
is like 4th.
Yeah, who knows? You know what I mean? So I don't think we can...
It's a good point. I like that.
Yeah, it's not that easy. So I like that you still had the childlike love of it when
I
you watched
really
it.
do,
Yeah.
man. I felt like a kid watching it because it was so dumb and there was no reason for me to love it as much as I did.
All right, so let's move on to Recast. This is a fun one this week, guys. We decided to get kind of creative. It's National Women's Month. Women's
History Month.
Women's History Month.
Yes.
And we've decided that the recasting of the 5 roles, so Gerard Butler, Aaron Eckhart, Morgan Freeman, Angela Bassett, and Barkawi, whose first name is not written here that I'm forgetting.
Mafi, I think?
Yeah, that sounds right. We decided to recast them with women.
Any woman from any time.
Yeah, I stuck largely with current women, but can be actors,
think I did
anybody.
too, yeah.
Can be anyone, and that's what we decided to do. So let's start with Barkawi.
And we got a little help from a fan because last week we asked about recast and they did suggest a gender bender recast. Obviously, this is kind of a joke on our ends. But yeah, so we'll start with Barkawi. I did a Miss Monica Bellucci from Spectre.
From which she was like weird.
She
and
looked weird and old and like just kind of creepy.
dark and the big lips and like the red
Yeah.
lipstick.
Like when they like start making out and messing around, I'm like, come on, Bond.
Yeah,
Dude, you can do better.
Come on, man.
That's like the only time you've ever said that about Bond needing to do better.
What are you wasted? Do you have too much scotch or something? I don't get it.
It's a banning moment.
Yeah, it's a banning moment. It's a bummer moment.
From now on, when we get wasted drinking scotch, we do something stupid. We just got it's a banning moment.
It's a banning moment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think we probably, from now on, when we get wasted, we're going to start doing the banning voice more often.
Definitely.
Banning is like, I think he might become the third. So Cruise, Cage, Banning. The Banning is the third voice we do now. It could be.
Okay, I'm into it.
All right,
who
so
do you have?
I went with Talisa Soto, which is Princess Kitana from Mortal Kombat.
For the bad guy?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
And I'm going with her now, the way she looks now, because she's still beautiful and cunning.
Right.
And she's got kind of an ethnically ambiguous look.
Princess Kitana.
Yeah. Princess Kitana! You disappoint me. But the thing is, why did she disappoint him? What did he expect? She was going to kill Liu Kang?
She wanted him to kill Liu Kang.
They weren't even really fighting.
I know, they were like dancing.
Yeah, I didn't even know. Why was it her? I didn't think she was fighting in the tournament.
We did Mortal Kombat on the show. Not a lot of people watch that episode. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
I love my Angela Bassett recast. Who do you have?
I went with a Miss Kate Blanchett.
Kate Blanchett.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just was thinking about how awesome Angela Bassett is, and I was like, I want someone with real dramatic chops.
Right.
So I decided Angela Bassett is perfect for. I mean, I could have just used Angela Bassett.
Oh, easy.
I didn't need to recast Angela Bassett.
I know. That's why I was like, do I even put her on the list? I was like, yes, because I cast Oprah.
You used Oprah for Angela Bassett?
I used Oprah for Angela Bassett.
I used Oprah for Aaron Eckhart. I used it for the president.
No way.
Yeah.
You used Oprah for the president.
I did.
That's amazing.
I thought that it would be great to have Oprah as the president because, like, he's kind of okay. No disrespect to Oprah here. Like, Aaron Eckhart doesn't do much. He sort of stands back as a little bit of a sissy.
Right.
And we know that he's in great shape, but he doesn't really do much. He's kind of comic relief, and he has the one scene talking about raising his son.
Right. That's
and
actually heartfelt.
he's got a good character. So I'm like, Oprah could do this scene. Like she could hang back and
She's
be
an
protected.
Academy Award winner.
Yeah, she could hang back. She could be protected. Like, she could get her hands dirty if she needed to.
Right.
She could shoot. She could beat someone up. I wouldn't be that surprised to see it.
Well, since you did your president, I'm going to do mine.
Okay.
Ellen DeGeneres.
I love Ellen.
Dude, I would vote for Ellen now for president.
I'm surprised she's not running. I think she would win.
And for all the same reasons that you said, and those blue eyes.
Love Ellen DeGeneres. Big fan.
We skipped Freeman. Who do you have for Freeman?
3 guesses.
I don't know. I put Whoopi Goldberg.
Who would I have? Middle-aged woman.
Diane Lane.
Diane Lane.
Diane Lane. Just so
She's
you
a
can watch her.
dime.
You can watch her do anything.
Love Diane Lane. I told you, I saw her at the SAG Awards, and I was interviewing someone when she walked by.
You dropped the mic and left the interview.
I was so disappointed. Like, I was finishing my interview, and I almost wanted to just be like, "Excuse me, sir, can you stop talking?" Diane!
Excuse me, President Obama, can you stop talking? I need...
It's like Ben Kingsley or someone like that.
Right,
And she was
yeah.
gone by the time I was done interviewing. I was so bummed. I was like, I mean, not that I was like bummed to be interviewing Ben Kingsley, but I was just like,
Right.
I
You love her.
I love Diane Lane.
You have always loved her.
Love her. Like, I just wanted to ask her one question someday. She's like
What is the one question you would ask Diane
I
Lane?
don't know.
Will you marry me?
marry me?
Yeah, exactly. We all knew what it was.
I don't know what I would ask her. I mean, also because like another of the times that I was let down, I was trying to get on the press junket for Trumbo, and I didn't end up getting on the
for
junket last
Cranston.
minute, and she was in that.
Oh.
And I was another situation where I was like, I'm gonna get to meet Diane Lane.
I like how my head goes to
Yeah.
Cranston.
It's twice now. She's my Great White Buffalo.
She is. She's a great white buffalo.
All right, so who'd you go with for your Gerard? Your Gerard
Butler. I went with Ronda Rousey.
Okay, you went with Ronda. I
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
kind of cheap. He's easy. They have the same dialect.
Yeah, and Rousey's great because now she's been beaten. She's like more battled. She's like she's not as much of just like the toughest person in the world anymore. She's
Right.
more like, yeah, I'm not the toughest person, but I'm really fucking tough.
I'll battle.
and
I'll fight.
Yeah, like I feels like she could protect the president.
Yeah.
I decided to go also with an athlete.
Okay.
I went kind of crazy with mine. I went with Maria Sharapova.
Miss performance enhancing drugs?
Yes. I like Sharapova, so I think she'd cut her hair. I think she wouldn't be
I went with Anna
aerodynamic.
Kournikova from the 90s.
So Kournikova wouldn't be aerodynamic fighting because
Right.
she's banning. So she goes short hair, right, and she wears like the pantsuit. She
Right.
goes like full on like I'm gonna be as efficient as possible. But she's got such a strong set of arms. She's so strong, and she's willing to take PEDs. So I think she could do a really good job of protecting Oprah.
You win.
That was an amazing
Just
sentence.
that sentence was the
Yeah.
best thing about this whole show. All right. I don't even care about the recast. That was just, you win. That was beautiful.
Hashtag Master Recaster on Twitter if you want to let us know who won. Sharapova. Tag Sharapova in your tweet.
Sharapova has massive arms. She could protect Oprah Winfrey. All right. So Cage versus Cruz. Let's skip it this week. We've done a lot of banning today.
Yeah, I've done a lot of banning. Yeah, I don't think we need to. I mean,
All right. Let's do one.
I think that Cage, 90s Cage, would have been great in this role.
I'm fucking thirsty.
Oh, you're going Cruz. You're going Cruz. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's like, what if Cage was just like, but Mike, what happens if you leave and you don't come back? You're fucked.
You're fucked.
You're fucked.
Bourbon and bad decisions.
Let's go find some rockets.
I don't know why we ever talk about skipping that segment. It's always wonderful.
It's always funny.
Yeah.
It's always a good time. All right, there are 3 action movie categories, guys. They're totally ridiculous, totally legitimate, ridiculously legitimate. They're what they sound like. The first one is basically movies like The Fugitive, Terminator 2, movies that just stand the test of time as real classics. They could be on top 100 lists for their dramatic quality. There are movies that are totally ridiculous, that fall off a cliff. They're just absurd. They're impossible to take seriously. Con Air, Face Off. They're just really silly. And then there are movies that are ridiculously legitimate or legitimately ridiculous. And those movies are like Point Break, The Rock, movies like Predator, where they hold together well dramatically. They're well acted in a lot of cases, but they are a little silly. Like, they make you laugh
Right.
unintentionally at times that you shouldn't. But when you think about them, you're like, that movie is so sweet. And you feel kind of affected emotionally when you watch them.
Yeah. I don't think it's really a question in this one.
Totally ridiculous.
Totally ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even though it's so self-aware and you laugh when they want you to laugh, you also laugh when you're just like, look at how dumb this is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a pretty easy one.
Yeah, easy.
I
Breeze
guess
past
we have
that.
like one more thing left on the show, and that's called The Pitch. So next week's movie is decided, unfortunately, guys. We voted last week.
Fortunately, thank God. Thank God it finally won.
We're doing Under Siege. It's been voted on like 4 times, and I guess we'll give you guys the slate for the next 2. There is an
Yeah.
emergency. There's like an emergency setting to abandon the edge if something happens. If we need to replace
Like
it with
if
something.
Ben died, because he will make sure that
I
movie
wanna do it
happens.
so much. But if we have to do another movie because there's something coming out or we forget about something, we will eventually do The Edge. But next week's movie is Under Siege. And Under Siege is just a classic. I mean, we've talked about it 3 times.
So
or 4
many
times.
times, yeah.
I mean, Steven Seagal, Gary Busey, Tommy Lee Jones. You don't really need to say much
You don't-
else.
Nothing.
He's a
On
cook.
a boat. It's
Yeah.
classic. Put him in a place and make him get out of it.
Yeah, it's a couple years after Die Hard, but it's like still in the same wheelhouse. It's like Seagal had Seagal did one movie his entire career that could be looked at as like kind of a classic and kind of a hit, and it's Under Siege.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't think
I thought you were going to say a different movie, and I was already like, what?
I don't think there's a movie that Seagal ever did other than just this one movie that would even be looked at as, like, kind of a classic. Like, they're all, like...
There's one of them with Kill in the title.
Hard to Kill?
Hard to Kill.
On Deadly Ground. I mean, like, he did a bunch of sweet movies.
Those names.
But, like, even Under Siege 2. Like, Under Siege
bad.
1 is sweet.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you that.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. So, Under Siege 1 is next week.
We also have a couple guests.
Yeah, we've got Cavino and Rich from the Sirius show. They have a weekly Sirius show they do, and they also have a Popcorn Talk show they're doing here. What is the name of the show?
Thursday Night Live.
Thursday Night Live, which is on Thursday Nights Live.
Yeah, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's not really a movie show. It's like it's just a guy hangout thing of the week show. But they do talk about the box office and they talk about the upcoming releases. But if you like Ben and Andrew, I think you guys are gonna.
I watched an episode of Cavino and Rich, and I was dying laughing because A, I was like, how is there two people that have comedy as similar to ours?
Right.
And then B, I was like, I don't know the inside jokes, but I'm laughing. And if our show's anywhere near as good as this, if people laugh at our jokes when they don't know the inside jokes, then we're doing something right.
Absolutely.
These guys are doing it right.
Yeah, no, they're very funny. I'm excited to have them on the show. And, like, it's like the man show for Popcorn Talk. How badass is that?
It's going to be fun. It's gonna
Thursday
be really
Night Live.
fun.
Check it out.
Yeah. So they will be on the show next week doing Under Siege with us. So guys, come back and check that out. If you guys want to find us in the meantime, you can follow us at AMA Podcast. You can follow Andrew and myself.
You can follow me at Andrew Ghai on Twitter.
At Ben Bateman Media. And, of course, one more time, find us, rate us, review on iTunes. It helps us stay high in the standings. We will see you guys, same time, same place, next week.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only, and not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.